Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. We start this talk by reflecting on people who have achieved great things. How did they get there? Whether it was working on their own self, waking up early, establishing an exercise routine, having a spiritual practice, or whether it involved taking up a new hobby, learning an instrument, playing a new sport, or whether it involves a huge project with millions of people. How do they achieve all of this? The topic for today is just do it, just think it, and just be it. Building confidence. We all start with some kind of self-doubt, and this is the first stage wherein we question ourselves. We're not sure if we can really do certain things. We ask ourselves things like, am I good enough? Can I really do it? This is too much for me. I've never done such a thing like this before. And what happens is all this language comes in our head, it comes in our mind. And the only way to get rid of that is to just do it. Just say yes. When an opportunity presents itself in front of us, just take it up and do it. We might not be 100% ready, but we can definitely learn. And having that opportunity will make us learn. Otherwise, we will never learn and we will never push ourselves. But remember that Bhagavan always gives us exactly what we need. So if an opportunity has come our way, that means it's meant for us to grow. And that means we should take it. And so when there is this going back and forth with oneself, just stop and put ourselves there. Just put ourselves in the situation and we will have to do it. And that's slowly how self-doubt comes down. I remember when I first got back to New York, a center had called me to do a camp for Chinmaya Yuva Kendra, for the chicks. And although years ago I used to attend camps and have a great time, I never actually led or spoke at a camp. And calmly on the phone, I said, yes, I can do it. And after I put the phone down, I said, oh my gosh, what do I do? And I did the only thing I know how to do was I prayed. I prayed and somehow Bhagavan guided me on how to prepare, how to plan. And slowly, things worked out. And in that, I just learned a very valuable lesson to just say yes and pray. And things will work out. They always do. And so if there is self-doubt, just do it. Just put ourselves in that particular field or situation, and we will grow. The second stage is, once we do start growing, we build some kind of confidence. But it starts very small, in the sense that we think very limited thoughts. We think that we can only do this much. We think that we can only go this far. We think very, very minimal. And actually, this is a crime. Thinking small is a crime. Because the biggest mistakes we make, it's not aiming high and missing it. It's aiming low and making it. If we aim low and make it, then what's there? I remember Puja Gurudev used to always say, strive for a goal that you can't reach. Because reaching the goal is not the goal. Striving to get there is. When we strive, we grow and evolve. So the next stage is just think it. And that's one of the phrases that we use. Think big, think Chinmaya. Just think big. Think things that we have never thought of before. Even if there's a doubt that how is it possible, how is it going to happen, it can. Just think really big, because our actions can never be bigger than our thoughts. If our thoughts are very small, then our words, our demeanor, our actions are so small. But if we think big and large and huge, then our actions will expand by that much. And so what if we thought 1,000,000 but we reached 500,000? That's still 500,000, rather than thinking that we will reach 1,000 and then have 500. So when confidence starts to build, we still tend to limit ourselves, and we still tend to say, I can do it, but I can do this much only. I can do it, but I can only go this far. But with the grace of God, when we think big, we never know what actually happens or what can actually manifest. And so, this is the second stage when slowly we begin to expand. Now what happens is, there is a problem with confidence. Nobody really talks about this so much, but it could be a problem. What could be the challenge of confidence? See, when we become too confident, overconfidence, sometimes that causes pride. Because we think that we did everything. We think that everything was because of us. And this overconfidence makes us arrogant, and it makes us fall miserably and fail poorly. The second problem with overconfidence is that there's a kind of pressure. We feel that each time we have to outdo ourselves, outperform ourselves. If we raise the bar to this level, next time, oh my gosh, I must raise it to the next level, and I must be higher, and I must do more. And we feel that pressure. With overconfidence also, we feel some kind of limitation. Limitation in the sense that, oh, if I give everything, or if I say everything now, what will I have left to say? Or if I show everything now, what else will I show next time? I don't know. There's always that, what will I do? There's that limitation that this is what I have. So sustained release. And with overconfidence also comes this problem of anxiety. Will people like what I do? If I go this way, maybe they might not like it. If I do this thing, maybe they might like it. It's always going back and forth, looking at others, looking at everybody else, and thinking all kinds of thoughts and wanting things to go a certain way. And so, as we go deeper, confidence doesn't really work. We come then to the third level. And the third level, which is much deeper than confidence, is surrender. In surrender, we just be it. We just be it. Surrender means making ourselves available for the divine to flow through us, for the divine grace to flow through us. It is very much like how Arjuna and Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna says, how am I going to do all of this? How am I going to do everything that you said that I should do? And Lord Krishna says the most beautiful words. He says, Nimitta matram bhava sabvyasachi. Be my instrument. One thing common with all instruments, there are few things common. One of the things is, if you see, they're all empty. they're all empty inside. If you open up a harmonium, it's empty. If you look inside a guitar, it's empty. If you open up a tabla, it's also empty. All of the instruments that we see are empty. Another thing with instruments is they have to be tuned a certain way. You know, when the musicians take up their instruments, they don't just play. They tune them up. They tune them. They hit them. They tap them. They, play a little bit to make sure that it sounds right. It's tuned to that frequency. And instruments also tend to get quite dusty. So we have to clean them and make sure they're kept nice and safe and sound. In the same way, in terms of surrender, we are like those instruments. If we want to be that instrument of divine grace, then the first thing we need to do is empty ourselves out of this ego. And when we empty ourselves out of that ego, there's no problem of overconfidence, of thinking that we're the ones who did it, or there's no problem of pride because we know it's not coming from us. We know that it's flowing through us. And it's a flow. It's a divine flow. So there's never that stress or strain that, will I outperform myself next time? How will I do better next time? I have to raise the bar next time. There's no such stress because there's a divine grace and it keeps flowing. It's just flowing. And there's no sense of limitation that I'm going to run out of things to say. I'm going to run out of ideas. I'm going to run out of creativity. There's no such pressure of limitation because God is unlimited. God is all powerful. God is a huge creative force. So where is the limitation there? And there's no such anxiety that what will people think? Will they like it? Will they not like it? Because it's God manifesting. Gurudev says very beautifully, does the painting argue with the painter? Can this instrument question God? So that surrender is much deeper because it is the divine grace flowing through. It is most relaxing, stress-free, and quite enjoyable. There's a catch though. In addition to being empty, in addition to emptying ourselves, I had mentioned also that that instrument has to be cleaned and it has to be tuned. The same way, our mind has to be cleaned and has to be tuned for that music to flow through. And that cleaning and tuning of our mind is really our spiritual sadhana, our spiritual practice. The more tuned we are, the more that divine music can play through us. The more melodies, the more range, the more rhythm comes out of us, the more tuned we are. And guess what? Just like a musician loves his or her favorite instrument, even if it's 10 years old, they still want to use the same instrument. Bhagavan loves his instruments and he keeps picking them up again and again and again. So, in a nutshell, what we have seen is we start from self-doubt, where we feel that sense of limitation that we cannot do. We're uncertain of ourselves. We're unsure. And when we have self-doubt, just do it. Just take it up and see what happens. Then we develop a little bit of confidence. But to really do great things, we must think great things. So the next level is just think it. Just think really big, really magnanimous. And it will happen with God's grace. But then remember, there's a challenge, should I say problem, with too much of that confidence. So the third level is to surrender. Just be it. And instead of building confidence, we evolve to blossoming in surrender. And when that happens, that actually is the most beautiful thing. I sincerely hope that we can all be fit instruments so that He can play through us beautifully. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Harihi Om.